So here's why I started scripting in Cursor. And I know it's like, it sounds crazy, okay? But I'm not trying to be a snowflake or something. It's actually better and it's not funny at all. You know, it is actually a symptom of how ineffective scripting has been so far. Because what we usually did, so like everybody does, is when you go on to Google Chrome and you go for something like Claude because Claude is better in writing, or you go to Gemini because you really want to break down an inspo or something, you would go here and say something like, you know, write, act like your performance marketer, or, you know, you're a lead creative strategist or whatever, you know, roles. I realized pretty soon, like, I don't know, 6 months ago, a year ago, that context is way more important than the prompt itself. So, because context is part of the prompt, yeah, sure, but context is what's missing in most brands is prompting, most businesses prompting. So, what we do is something like brand guides. So, I can pull something up like 28 Pilates, and I have the customer research for scripting. Boom. Write me a script for 28 Pilates from the perspective of a creative strategist. Something like that. And it will stay on point. This is what we do internally, you know, in case you want a lesson, you know, research docs, scripting docs, brand research combined, and you like kind of formulated that it's easy to write scripts with it. Either way, it's not the point of the video, but I just want to mention that the context is so much better because now we have the target persona, we have the insights, we have the wording correctly, and now it's going to be better than going to ChatGPT and saying, write a script for a Pilates reformer, please. The outputs will be vastly different. So context is king here. Okay. Yeah. So you know, they have the competitors, they have the fucking offer, and everything is correct. If you go in here, you have to rewrite it, and it has like this weird formatting, whatever. So you get my point. It's closed. Why did I switch to Cursor? So I got this tip from a content agency buddy of mine. He said that you know, he works with the super technical AI automation N8N agency and does their content. So he's a agency that does content for a agency, and they started like using that in order to stay on, you know, metrics and make scripting easier to increase outputs. And you know, he kind of, you know, started with, I gave it a try and it's actually better. It's kind of a thing where you read, oh, cayenne pepper is good on vanilla ice cream, and you're like, no, this isn't, like, that's not what it's for. And then you try it and it's actually good. Just like, what else is there? Yeah, like the whole thing that salt makes ice cream better. Didn't believe it, but it is better. So yeah, let me jump into the setup. So I have a content creative strategist agent, new agent. So, and don't get scared. Okay, Cursor is usually for coding, but it has so many good features that it's super viable for script writing as well. So don't mind me. So first of all, we have a desktop folder now with, and I don't want to go into too much detail, but, or open the context folder, but it's not finished, okay, don't look. We have SOPs, frameworks, and the work it does. So, you know, agent SOPs, how do we write scripts? How do you, how to come up with creatives. I would name that differently, honestly. But he does creates all those files. He has context and he knows where to look because we also have a system context that tells them where to look at each time. So now, jumping back into Cursor. What can Cursor do that ChatGPT or Gemini can? Cursor can cross-reference files, which means, one, it has a system prompt that knows what to do at all times. It not only has this, like, you know, ChatGPT has system prompts, or one system prompt, but you fill it in once, you forget about it, you don't really use it, and it doesn't really affect the results. This is a system prompt for the specific use case. So we're always working within a folder here. It's local. It has access to its own folder. yeah, so let's start from scratch. If you use something like Opus and you say that they write me a script for editor targeting dropshippers, it will go into the editor context file. It will know what stuff I say. See, it reads the editor context. I don't even have to upload it. It reads the scripting framework. It reads the SOP on that stuff, the naming and the structure, and comes up with a plan, then executes. ChatGPT only has one query. Of course, it simulates like this thinking. It's only one step. It's language prediction. What word comes after the next. This here is an agentic workflow that you can access in something like ChatGPT or Gemini, which makes it such a good tool to use, because usually I did kind of the same thing by having my PDFs and everything in my brand guide, brand.pdf. I can always search for it, bam, Shape Republic, boom, and then use the context. Like this, it's already in a folder. It can automatically choose what to pick as context, and then can make a plan on how to execute it and whatnot. Exactly. So we're gonna review this. We're gonna open it up, and yeah, of course, interface is a bit unused and so it might look complex to the untrained eye. It's just a text block. Okay, I'm gonna show you something in a week or so. Once I figure that out, that makes this whole interface a bit easier. It's not gonna be a SaaS, but it's gonna be a different tool that kind of has a better interface for you to look at. And yeah, it has a dropshipper creative script, and it knows exactly how I usually text people, because I also have a writing guide. I have a context guide on the products and also my service, so it knows the offers and the benefits and whatnot, the done for you offer. And now it just goes, your winning product just died, and you're back to testing with the same free supplier videos everyone else is running. People do that. Your dropshipper scaling to 100k plus months. The dropshipper scaling to 100 aren't finding better products, they're making more ads. Fact. Buddy, here's the reality of dropshipping right now. Finding a winning product isn't even the hard part anymore. Everyone has the same tool, spy tools, same price. This is even good. That's actually a good script. Yeah. So I will have to give it my usual sauce and like curveballs maybe, but this, mind you, this was the prompt for it. So yeah, I'm fine using Cursor, and I would recommend you to look into it if you're a technical guy. If you're like pseudo technical, I'm pseudo technical. Like I'm performative technical, but my vibe coding projects are still a huge graveyard and a huge maintenance site. So I'm not gonna sit here like I'm technical. It works if you have ever looked at something like HTML or like had an IT class in school. It works, but if you're not, just take away that you need context now, and context is the new game in prompting. So yeah, you might see this ad actually sometime whenever I go into acquisition again, because right now we're kind of bottlenecking on a talent, which is why I have to figure this. But this is going to increase the output hugely, especially on the accounts that are bottlenecked by creative strategy. A lot of people need right now, and this, it's my gift to you right now. So yeah, this should be it. These are the main reasons I use Cursor. Easier prompting, instant access. It has a better thinking process. It remembers the stuff that you feedback. So if I would say, for example, I don't think the hooks are unhinged enough. If you have any ideas, make sure to add visual notes in brackets after the voiceover. Also note, like I don't need to prompt it, but just so you know how it works, Cursor will also take feedback and adjust the brand guides automatically. Because the main issue I have with the PDF workflow that I'm using and that I'm quite comfortable in is that once you have the PDF, you kind of don't look at it again. It's kind of product context, and it's not really, it's not flexible. It's a rigid thing that works well, but the context is stale. Who knows how to edit a PDF? I wouldn't edit a PDF. I'm not from that generation, so by having all the files in like this format, it's liquid. You can shape it. And so if I give it this feedback, so it's going to plan next move, and it's also going to see, okay, Mr. Alan didn't like that. So it's taking note of what I might need. So it's overriding the script, but it's also going back to the brand guide and, you know, appending this like section about the dry humor and maybe unhinged things. So it's getting more accurate. Every time you use it, it gets more accurate and it updates. So yeah, this is one very important thing that like ChatGPT doesn't do. ChatGPT doesn't use itself. ChatGPT doesn't play with itself in front of you. Cursor does, you know, switch if you have the gut for it. You know, I can see why this is a bit confusing. But yeah, these are my 2 cents on it. Have fun.